Hello, guys. Welcome back to Querying Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality. This is part three of God, the sex of God. God is gender neutral, intersex, man or woman. And now, the part two, what happened? We went to a Rema word. We went haywire. There's something we wanted to share. That's what we poured out, and we didn't focus on what we're going to say. But in this part three, we're going to focus on what we're saying, the logos. So this part three, we're going to focus on what we're saying, the logos. So we had stopped at the verses, and we had said that God, in English, in the beginning, God created. That's singular God. And then but in Hebrew, they use the word Elohim, many gods. So that's a plural. So that pluralistic definition of God fights or combats with the singularistic concept of God in English. So many people who studied English, so many people who studied or became Christians under English believe that the God that created the earth was one God. But people who understand that if you read the Bible in Hebrew, it would have changed the way people view God. So that's the power of language. And that's what Welby was saying. Um, so God being, so there's either the pluralistic God Elohim or the singularistic God El, which is God in English. So you can be in either school of thoughts. So some people are in the school of thought of Elohim. I'm in the school of thought of Elohim because the Bible was written originally in Hebrew and not in English. English is a translation. So I'm not in the school of thought of monotheistic. Therefore, I believe many gods or the Trinity is the one that created the world. Now, where I differ from Welby, the Archbishop, is he says, because Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Now, when you read these 25, Genesis chapter 1 to 25 to 27, you realize something very interesting. Remember the word God is Elohim. And so now let's put Elohim. And Elohim said, so therefore, and the gods said, let us. You see that us is us, is a sign that the word God is a plural God. It is not a singular God. It is us. He didn't say, if it was pure English, it would have been, and God said, let me make man in my image, after my likeness. And let them, so, but it says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So there is our image, our likeness, and that's plural. So this means man was created by very many people. It was like a surgery table. They were doing surgery, and so that's what happened. So God is saying this Elohim has his image, our likeness. Our image, our likeness. So man was not just like anything else. Of course, with science, man is a primate. Yes, genetically proven that man is a primate. And so most atheist scientists really do not support that view that God is that God is that we were created by a God, because 99% of chimpanzees, the genetic material of chimpanzees, 99% of it belongs to human beings. It's only 1%. So to atheist scientists, really, they don't spend time reading Genesis like people who believe religion. And for your information, I am just reading this as per theological understanding of what Christianity and Judaism says happened at the creation. Remember, Christianity is a religion that depends on Judaism. Christianity would have come up with its own original story of creation, but it did not, because it came as a Judaic religion. The people who brought Christianity were Jews. Jews brought Christianity. And then because Gentiles took over, they didn't see the need to bring their Genesis, the creation stories. Go to Germany, go to France, go to England, go to Europe, most of Europe, they have their creation stories that are not the same as the Judaic or the Jewish creation stories. So, what I'm trying to say is that our likeness, our image. So there's an image. This was the image of Elohim, not the image of El. This was the image of many gods, not the image of one God. And what does it say in verse 26? So God created man in his own image. Now, there's something dangerous that has happened there. His own. It doesn't say God created man in their own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So God created man in his own image. If I was the King James Version translator, I would have said, because the word God is still Elohim, it has never changed, it's still Elohim. In this chapter, it's Elohim, many gods. So it should have been, so God created man in their own image. In the image of God created they him. Male and female created he, or created they them. That's what it should have been said. So what the King James translators did, they put the he to mean, because they were writing it in English and therefore singular God, rather than the pluralistic God of Elohim. And that's why Judaism is a henotheistic religion. It's a religion whereby God is not necessarily monotheistic, but is polytheistic. And guess what? It is similar to Hinduism, that is also henotheistic. So that's the biggest discovery this year for many of us who study theology and philosophy, is that Judaism is not necessarily a monotheistic religion. It is a henotheistic religion because they have many gods. And Psalms 82:6 says it very clear. We are gods. Humans are gods. We are children of the Most High. That's what David said. You and I, we are gods. Why are we gods? Because God created us in their image. They created us in their image. Now, let's go on. Now, and so in the image of God created he him. So what is the image of God? The image of God is male and female. Therefore, if the image of God is male and female, then it means God is male and female. And therefore, if it means so, then it means Elohim is male and female. So, what does that mean? That God can either be intersexual, hermaphrodite, or LGBTQ deity, whereby you have male gods and female gods. Because if you take Elohim literally to mean many gods, it could be that the male gods and the female gods and the genderless gods met together and said, let us make man and a woman. So that could be one way. The other way could be God is intersexual in the sense that he has both male and female hormones and both male and female sexual parts. It can be either way. So that's why I told you I stand with the intersexual part, because humans are intersexual. Hormonally, we have both male and female hormones. Hormonally. So Adam was created with both male and female hormones because the image of God is male and female. And then Eve was created from Adam, who also had male and female hormones, and therefore Eve also had male and female hormones. Why? Because God is male and female, so Adam is a man who has male and female hormones, and Eve is a woman who has male and female hormones. That's what happened. And that's why you could maybe say that either God is intersex, or the gods, Elohim. In fact, let's just call it Elohim. The Elohim are males and females. They sit and they sat together and they said, let us make man, and they made man. So you can pick whichever way you want. And as I told you, the beauty of the Elohim discussion, the Elohim concept, is India is a Elohim religion because they have male and female gods, gods and goddesses. Egypt, which is also very related to India because it's in Africa, they have male and female gods. So Egypt was also an Elohim religion. India was also an Elohim religion. And remember, the man who wrote the book of Genesis was Moses, who was an Egyptian by birth. He was an African by birth. And therefore, African teaching was that they are male and female gods. That is the African teaching. When you go to Nigeria and you look at the ancient religions of Nigeria, they have male and female goddesses. When you go to Uganda, you find they are male and female goddesses. When you go to now, the beauty of Africa is that there is diversity of religion. So some cultures in Africa went and stuck to a male god, and others stuck to a female god, and others stuck to both male and female gods. So there are some cultures in Africa that are Elohim cultures, and then there are some cultures in Africa that are cultures. They worship one god who happens to be male. Then others worship a female god. And then you have the Elohims, the bisexuals. You know, there are many. You can worship a god who is male and a female god. So it's very beautiful. So, and then now Hebrew religion, because Moses was writing for the Hebrews, not for the Egyptians, and this was written in Hebrew. The Hebrew people are also Elohim religion, which is male and female. That is my proposition. I can even write a thesis about this. Yes, I'll write a thesis about this and declare that ancient religions were Elohim religions. And it goes by what the Bible says, that God created. It's not even, you see, the thing you have to clear out of your mind, it's not God who created, it's Elohim, it's gods who created men and women. Gods, they were people who created. That's my view. And because it would have said that God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male. God created males. It would have just said males. Or it would have just said females. But it says the image, in the image of God, God created he him, male and female created he them. Created he him, meaning the he them means the him is swallowed by the them, which is male and female. Now, I want us to conclude the video this way. How many characters are in the verse 27 of Genesis chapter 1 verse 27? Let me count for you. Number 1, in English, these are the number of characters in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. Number 1, God. Number 2, man. Number 3, the image of God. Number 4, male. Number 5, female. So there are 5 characters in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 in English, because there is a God, there is a man, there is the image of God, and there is a male and there is a female. But in Hebrew, in Genesis 1 verse 27, if you count Elohim, we don't know the number, but there are many gods. So many gods. Number 1, Elohim. Number 2, man. Number 3, the image of God. Number 4, male and female. Now, let's now summarize those characters very well and make and really refine them and pick a true character. What is the image of God? Man is the image of God. So who is man? Man is the image of God. And what is God? God is male and female. You see, God is male and female. So and as I've told you, science has proved to us that males have female and male hormones, and females have male and female hormones. Only that when you are a female, the primary hormone system is basically feminine. And when you're male, the primary system is masculine. But this does not apply to all humans. That's why the LGBT community is there. Because there are some women who have a lot of masculine features, even though they are physically feminine. And there are men who have feminine features, they are hormonally feminine, even though they have masculine features. This is why you have transgenders. They are natural. I don't know how, I want to shout it like nothing, because I am LGBTQ. I know my body. I know my life. So I just want to shout it and tell people, understand. I was even having an argument with somebody. I told them, you are not me. You are straight. You say you're straight. You're not me. I know who I am. I know my feelings. I know I may have my feminine features, even though I have masculine features. That's a queer person. So sometimes you get into arguments with homophobes, you just want to drum it in their heads and just tell them, Get it in your head. And they can't. Because do you know why it's very hard for homophobe to get those things in his head? It's because they are not that. That's why. It's like telling a black person, you're a white person, and you're telling a black person how it feels to be white. You will never know how it feels to be a white person if you're a black person. You will never. It's just done. It's like genetics. When you are in a genetic haplogroup, a different genetic haplogroup from a friend, you cannot feel him. It's impossible. It's impossible. I know the faith movement say there's nothing impossible. No, that one is impossible. You can't feel someone who is genetically different from you at all. So the only thing you can do is just tolerate them and just say, wow, you're different. Fine, this is you. I'm not you. But you see, the problem of the world, many people want to change people to be like them. They want to change them. You must be straight, you're a man. Yeah, they tell children who are crying, when you see boys and they like crying a lot, they say, you're a man, you're a man. No, he's not a man. That guy is gay. He's queer. He's queer because he's crying more than the normal boy. Because most boys don't cry. Yes. So when you get a boy who is crying a lot, please, mama and baba, that child is queer. Take care of them and love them because that's their nature. Who taught him to cry like that? And you cry. Some even they even go to the extent of saying, "Why is he crying like a woman? He's queer." Yes, he's queer. So we that's why we're here. We're coming to defend those people and make people understand. And that's why it should even start in early childhood. Children do not become gay when they're 25. They become gay from birth. Children don't become transgender when they are 40 years old. No, they were born transgender. Look at Angelina Jolie. Her children are trans. Yes, very good. I'm very happy for her. Very happy for her. Will Smith, his son, you can see it in him. He has the feminine features. It's beautiful, thoroughly beautiful. And he's a son. He has a male organ. So what are you going to do to him? He's a queer kid. You can't go and tell him, cane him. Cardi B, the rapper, said something very horrible, that she wants to cane, should beat her gay son. And I'm like, what? This woman needs to go and sit down and read homosexuality. She doesn't know. She didn't pay attention to her child when he was growing up. A mother should pay attention, a father should pay attention to their child's sexuality, psychosexuality, because it is formed even at birth. Yes, sexuality is so genetic, it's so biological. I don't know how to say it. That's why I'm shouting like nothing, because it's true. Yes, I'm shouting like nothing. And I know it's my life. I have to fight for my rights. And sometimes I'm surrounded with homophobes. They don't understand. They get angry when you're busy talking about your activism life. And I say I'm going on because I know what I'm talking about. I know my body. You don't know my body because it's not yours. So what I'm trying to say is that Elohim is not necessarily male and not necessarily female. It's actually male and female. And that's why you would be safe to say that God is a male, female, intersex, or LGBTQ, rather than say God is gender neutral. That's why I'm not really for the gender neutral movement, because it doesn't make, to me, doesn't make sense, in the sense that, as I've told you, the image of God has been explained here, male and female. So when you see human beings, you're seeing God. And that's what Psalms 82, verse 6, my favorite verse in the book of Psalms, it says, Psalms 82, verse 6 says, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Yes, God has said it. You are gods. You are, and the word here, gods, is the same word used creation story. Elohim. You are Elohim. Me and you, we are all Elohim. So when you see a human being, just know you're seeing El. You're just seeing El everywhere. El, El, El. He's a god. And some gods are called William. Other gods are called Barbara. Other gods are called Nancy. Other gods are called Lucinda. Other gods are called uh, Mbabazi. Other gods are called everywhere. The gods. We are all gods. And we are all gods, but some are more godlike than others. Like in the countries we live in, we are all gods, but those who are in authority are more godlike than others. That's why even a kid can be a president, a king, and he has more authority than an 80-year-old. Not because of age, but because he is in an office that has elevated him. So the 80-year-old is still a god, but the kid who is a king is also a god. And he's even a stronger god because whatever he'll say happens. Like we're going to do a series of the kings of Israel and Judah. And there was a king who ruled when he was 8 years old. And he was they say he was a very naughty king. We're going to do that video, and I want to read that story again. I really loved it when I saw it. Yeah, they said he was not really a good king. He was 8 years old. He had to rule, you see, because he was in the line of succession. So, my friends, that is what we had to share, and that's what we said. The scriptures are very clear. If you go by the scriptures, of course, it's a fact. God, the image of God is male and female. And science has proved it. Science has proved this because a man has estrogen, testosterone. A woman has testosterone, has estrogen. So that is the life. And just live it knowing that personally for me, God has a sex. And secondly, I don't see God as a monotheistic God. I'm henotheistic now. I believe they are gods, and we're going to do that video one day. Because even angels, Satan was called an angel, Lucifer. And then he's also called God of the world. And then he's also called the Prince of the air. So if an angel is being called a god, this means angels are also gods. So there's a diversity of gods. And there are very many cultures in Africa, not many, few cultures in Africa that have hierarchy of gods. Hierarchy of gods. Like when you go to countries in Southern Africa, they have what you have the Most High God. The Most High God. And they believe that one is one. Then there are high gods. Then there are lower gods, the terrestrial gods. So you have the celestial gods and the terrestrial gods. And then you have the humans who are gods. Then you have the animals. Animals are also called gods in some religions. That's why Egyptians worshipped calves, they worshipped bulls, they worshipped snakes. They worshipped because everything that had life was seen. They had animism. Animism is actually the oldest religious concept that was swallowed up by ancient Egypt and India. And if you understand history of human history, mankind came from Africa. So even Hinduism, the whole idea of Hinduism actually is an African idea. Because when you read ancient Egyptian, and I'm going to do this study next time, ancient Egyptian is very similar to ancient Hinduism or the Hinduism of today because both of them are henotheistic. are henotheistic. It's beautiful. You know, when you read these things, oh my God, you just say, wow, wow. Look at Nigeria. Nigeria is so henotheistic, it hurts. These guys are from Egypt. They're from Egypt. And it's beautiful. And when you look at Nigerian art, you really wonder. You just say, what is this madness? You know, the batik work. I like wearing it because I just honor the artwork. It's old and it is coming from Egypt. And when you go to those, of course, now in Nigeria, most people are now Christian, Muslim, so they have thrown away the henotheism. But actually, they were henotheistic. So that's what we're going to do that study next time. So we're very happy to share with you that the sex of God is actually male and female, intersexual or LGBTQ. That God, and because of all of bisexual, all of it, they all fit in rather than gender neutral. But it's my opinion and my thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us this day. See you next time when we discuss more issues.